I want to welcome everyone to the 3rd through 5th grade Spring Evening of the Arts. My name is Travis Locker. I'm the head of schools, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this wonderful event. First, we'll get through some logistics on audience etiquette. Just asking that during the performance, there just be no talking unless your audience participation is requested. Keep all the noises off, so cell phones, watches, any other sound-making gadget you might have brought into the auditorium or the sanctuary, please turn those off. And then if you have a small child that needs to be calmed, just feel free to step out. And then if you have to get up, just stand up during the normal transitions between songs or different groups. And please don't take any flash photos. It's bright enough up here. Don't need them to be blinded as well. One of the hallmarks of a classical Christian education is a celebration of the arts, and tonight is a wonderful celebration of music and also the visual arts. Why we study arts here and why we put such a strong emphasis on them is because first we believe education is formational. Something happens to you at school. When you read books, when you sit under a tutor or a teacher, something happens to you. You become formed into something. But we also believe that art actually is transformational. It takes you somewhere. Beautiful piece of music or art does something to you just like really unlike anything else. You can think, well, it's just art is in the eye of the beholder. It just makes me feel good. But we actually are teaching children that art is objective, that it's actually pointing to something, or more accurately, someone. That the creation around us, what we create, and the creation around us points us to the great creator. So art does something to us and forms our hearts and minds and sharpens our focus on things that are true, good, and beautiful, and takes us to places that we couldn't go ourselves, and we're thankful for that. So tonight, sit back and enjoy. As all of our concerts, we're going to first start off with our Prelude. So let's start off with Hallie first. All right, Hallie Molina. So. Thank you. Well done. It takes a lot of courage to come up here and do this in front of a bunch of people. Well, we are here to celebrate just the great art, both musically and visually, that our students have done. So when the concert's done here, the evening's not over. I would invite you to take a walk down the long hallway, out the double doors, down the breezeway, into the cafe. You will see art from kindergarten all the way through 6th grade. You'll notice the art will mirror the time period that they're studying, the historical time period. So you get a chance to walk through the history of what they've studied recently as well. So when we're done here, please, I invite you to go to the Grammar Building and take a walk and see all the wonderful art pieces of all of our students. I'd also like to make an announcement. We're very excited to announce a new scholarship endowment for Annapolis Christian Academy. With a lead gift of $100,000, local philanthropists with a heart and a passion for the mission and vision of Annapolis created the Seaman Family Endowment for Annapolis Christian Academy. Starting the 2023-2024 school year, the Seaman Family Endowment will provide scholarships to students of parents in full-time ministry. The donors mentioned 2 additional goals for their gift. 1, that the endowment be a useful tool to engage alumni and alumni families to help pass on to future generations the great experience they had at Annapolis. And 2, to help the next Billy Graham graduate from Annapolis. So we'll see. It's a high bar. If those endeavors speak to you and you're led to add your support to this endowment, please contact Mrs. Clower or myself. We'll be happy to help. So we're very, very pleased for the Seaman Family Endowment and to start this wonderful gift for us. So we're very, very pleased with that. Next, I want to invite up to the stage our wonderful art teacher. This is a bittersweet night for all of us, but please welcome Mrs. Johnson.
I learned from last week to save the bitter for last, not right away. So I want to just take a minute and just express to you a few thoughts, especially for parents when you're looking at your children's artwork and why we do what we do here. We only need to keep our eyes open in order to notice the beauty of the world around us. When an artist experiences beauty in creation that makes him want to create a work of art, we say that the artist has been inspired. The word inspired comes from the Latin word for breathe. Being inspired literally feels like taking a big, deep breath and feeling a huge surge of energy. Having the ability to create is part of what it means for humans to be made in the image of God. We are imitators of our Creator. Postmodernism has reduced art making to simply self-expression, and while that is certainly an aspect of art, it is not the most important part of art. A classical approach to the making of art integrates the study of the elements and principles of art, which one artist that I read after described as the secrets of beauty. I really liked that definition, the secrets of beauty. These secrets, these principles, are interwoven with the teaching of art history. Why do we do this? Why do we teach art history in art class? I'm so glad you asked. Artwork is essentially a living document that connects us to other humans and their experiences of the world that God has created. Their thoughts, their beliefs about the world that they live in, about their thoughts of God and who they are. We do the same thing in our art as well today, sadly. Studying the art of cultures that have gone before us helps students understand on an even deeper level God's story of us. Students might be learning about life in Egypt, Greece, Rome, Middle Ages in their classroom, but when they get into the art room, they get even a greater understanding of how those people thought about themselves and their world. One of my favorite second grade art projects is the Byzantine portrait of Emperor Justinian the Great and his wife Theodora. You're going to see these projects hanging in the grammar hallway. This assignment is inspired by the Roman mosaics that decorate the sanctuary of the Church of San Vitale in Ravenna, Italy. In this project, the second grade learned how to draw the proper proportions of the face. So there you have the elements. But then they also learned that art during the Byzantine era was kind of scary. Here's a fun fact. Byzantine portraits are not known for their attractive faces. Have you ever seen a Byzantine portrait? Very sad. The Byzantine artists were a strict people. They were bound by strict rules, and it shows up in their art. For the Byzantines, the image of the face was less about depicting a specific person accurately or beautifully, for that matter, but more about communicating a spiritual idea about the person. They were not interested in showing the beauty of the body, but of the soul. They put great emphasis on this concept, which is why the eyes are drawn much larger, and you will see that as you look at this artwork. The Byzantines literally took the phrase, "the eyes are the windows of the soul." They took that quite literally. We had a great time in second grade talking about the Byzantines with their big eyes and very sad faces. This is just an example of some of the things that your students learn in art class in addition to how to draw and paint. I hope this gives you just a little glimpse of some of the deeper meaning and things that your students are learning in art class. As you go down the hall, or actually out in the foyer, first grade and fifth grade have mosaic tiles that they made this year. Please, first grade and fifth grade parents, feel free to take your student over, find their tile, and you may take that home as a gift from me to you. And please do enjoy the artwork again, as Mr. Lockyer said. You're going to take a stroll back in history, but I hope that you will think in terms of understanding the artwork that we're producing. It's a really beautiful thing. It integrates both all of the aspects of making art, the elements of art, but there's something so much deeper going on under the surface. So I hope you appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Next up, we'll transition into the music portion of it, starting with third grade. And third grade is actually taught by both music teachers, Miss Domajo, she teaches the instrumentation part of it, and Miss Runyon. So they have a tag team approach to third grade. Apparently, it just takes one Miss Watson, but two music teachers to teach third grade. So with that, we'll turn it over to our music teachers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shelby Runyon. I'm the Performing Arts Director here at Annapolis. Ms. Domajo is going to lead the third graders in their recorders this evening, but I promised Ms. Domajo I'd do all the talking, so here we are. While they're getting settled, I wanted to read you a little something I wrote about folk song. When we choose songs for concerts, we're not just choosing things that are or that are easily accessible, or things that we just like, or things that we think are just fun. Oftentimes, Ms. Domajo and I will spend hours and hours selecting music that we feel is not only appropriate for their age, but that is inspirational, that we can talk about in the music classroom, that we can bring to life in a very dynamic way. So this evening, Ms. Domageau and I will be presenting folk songs to you, and I'll give a little bit more information about folk songs after they play, since they're all ready to go. So without further ado, the third grade recorders. One more round of applause for those recorders. It's well known across the world that recorders have a horrible reputation. And to see Ms. Domichaux bring these children onto stage and not only get them to play together at the same time on different instruments, but for it to be a pleasing sound is really something very special, and we are so grateful to have Ms. Domichaux and all of her efforts at this school. So third grade is getting situated to come back on stage as a choir. But before they start, I'll read you something I just wanted to share about folk song in general. Tonight we are celebrating the art of folk music. It's difficult to encompass exactly what folk music is and what it sounds like. There are thousands of cultures, and each one has its own musical tradition, which is reflected in the rhythms, melodies, and text of its folk music. Many of these songs are meant for those engaged in manual labor. We can hear and feel a pulse in the music that is meant to help workers pass the time by singing and moving to a common beat. Other folk songs rise from the deep struggle that many countries experience in famine or war or oppression. And others still describe the beautiful landscape of their country, speaking of the mountains or the ocean with as much fondness as a love song. No matter your country of origin, it's easy to sing or listen to the folk songs of another place and feel a human connection to the rural beauties and cultural joys they describe. So tonight, we invite you to travel to places near and far without leaving your seat as we skim the surface of some folk songs around the world. Okay, third graders, just stay really still. I'm going to read something really quick. Let's see how this goes. As we learn about the music in class, I love to have discussions with the students about what the songs mean or how they add quality to our lives. One particular day in music, I wanted to talk about the song Simple Gifts, which we'll perform for you in a moment. The text says, "'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free." To kick off this discussion, I asked the students, what is your favorite thing to do that doesn't cost money? And I was really expecting them to have to really rack their brains, because in this world, we have so many methods of entertainment in front of us. I was really thinking, I'm gonna really teach them about this today. Well, I was so moved by their answers. I'll read a few of them. I like to play with my baby sister. I love to lay in the grass and look at the clouds. I love to read a picture book. I like to eat yummy food with my family. And I just thought that was so beautiful, and I was so moved. We live in a world where we often feel that we are losing a sense of simplicity, where we are glued to screens, and many of our family values are under attack in a modern culture. But let us take heart in the fact that our children still want to lay in the grass and look at the clouds, to spend time with siblings, and to eat meals as a family. Let us look to the children for delight in the simple things and the lightness of heart that we so desperately need in our world. With that, we're going to sing Simple Gifts.
Tis the gift to be simple, tis the gift to be free, tis the gift to calm down where you ought to be. And when we find ourselves in that place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. Simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to calm down where you ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. Right, true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to calm down where you ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and
For our last third grade song, I'm going to invite Mr. Kenneth Sawyer onto stage. He will be joining us on the flute. This last song is supposed to be in the Korean language, but just in case we have any native Korean families here, I do want to say that it is a very what we call romanticized version of the language. So we are using American R's, we're not using true Korean diction, so I wanted to make sure that I apologize for the translation, but it is very accessible to the children, and this is a well-known and beloved Korean folk song. The beautiful part about this song is that it's sung by both North and South Korean cultures. So it's considered a song of unity even in our current day. So this is called Arirang, a Korean folk song. We're so proud of the work that third graders have done this evening and all this year. Sometimes you get classes that love to sing, and then others you have to coax them to sing. But really this year at Annapolis, I haven't found that much of a difference in the love to sing between the classes. Every single class comes and enjoys the singing, and they do it with all their hearts. And so you can clearly see that in the voices of the children in 3rd grade and in 4th grade. So our 4th graders are coming onto stage, and we're so excited to present to you their American folk songs. So this evening, they are going to sing first a folk song that combines 2 different folk songs. It's called Crawdad Creek. So they're going to sing about some crawdads. Where I come from, they are crawfish. But they're going to sing about some crawdads, and then they're also going to sing about going fishing. And then they're going to take both of those folk songs and sing them together at the same time in what we would call in our modern day a mashup. But in the choral world, we just call them counter melodies.
Creek.
Our last song for fourth grade is called John Henry. And it's a folk song written about the Industrial Revolution, when machines were coming along and taking the jobs away from men and women. So these machines all came along, and a lot of people lost their jobs. Well, John Henry is a historical figure, but we're actually not quite sure if he's real or not. He's kind of a mythical figure that we talk about in folk songs. He was a railroad worker, and there was a machine that came along in the railroad industry that was going to take his job. And so he told his boss, I can work as hard as that machine. And so they set them against one another in a competition, and he worked and outran the machine, but unfortunately lost his life in the process. And so it is a story about how this Industrial Revolution affected so many people at that time. I was so delighted when I chose this song for the kids, and they said, wait, we know exactly who John Henry is, and we know exactly what the Industrial Revolution is, because they had just studied it in fourth grade. So it was a really exciting time for us to bring our song and our history class together and have a great discussion about that. So this is John Henry.
John Henry was a little baby, sitting on his daddy's knee. He picked up a hammer and a little piece of steel, and he said, "This hammer be the death of me. Oh yes, this hammer be the death of me." What the captain said to John Henry, gotta bring that steam drill, bring that steam drill, bang it down, gonna whoop that steel on down. Oh yes, gonna whoop that steel on down. John Henry told his captain, "Listen, Captain, well, a man ain't nothing but a man. But before ain't no steam drill gonna beat me down. I'll die with a hammer in my hand. Oh yes, I'll die with a hammer in my hand." John Henry kept hammering on the mountain. There was lightning in his eye. He drove so hard that he broke his heart, and he laid down his hammer and died. They carried him off to the graveyard, and they buried him in the sand. And people came from near and far, just to praise that steel-driving man. John Henry, oh John Henry, John Henry, oh John Henry, John Henry was a steel-driving man.
Our last choir this evening is fifth grade. Fifth grade has had a very interesting year in choir. We started off with a lot of singers who weren't quite so sure about singing. But somewhere around November or December, we started to notice a shift. And all of a sudden, they started to work together in the most beautiful way. And so I'm so glad that the year didn't start out perfectly, because we wouldn't have had this amazing victory. It's so much sweeter after we struggle for a little bit. And so they've been able to revel just in the pride of their work and in the happiness of what they've accomplished for themselves. So they are only singing 2 songs this evening, but I've assured them it's because the second one is longer than your average song. So our first song this evening is, what's our first song?
The water is wide.
The Water is Wide. And it's also coupled with the folk song, Bring Me a Little Water, Sylvie. So The Water is Wide is about someone trying to get across a body of water to the person that they love. They're trying to row the 2 of them across this body of water, and it's kind of like a longing feeling in the music. And the second song is Bring Me a Little Water, Sylvie, and it's this kind of unrequited love. This person is saying, bring me a little water every once in a while, even though we can't be together, or even though we can't see each other that much. Whether it's a romantic love or whether it's a friendship love, we're lamenting the fact that there's this kind of sadness. So we've had this beautiful discussion about these folk songs in 5th grade, and we've been able to discuss, yes, the sadness of them, but also sometimes the saddest songs are the best ones. And 5th grade has embraced that with all their hearts. So this will be The Water is Wide, paired with Bring Me a Little Water, Sylvie.
Water is wide. I can't
Mr. Kenneth Sawyer is going to join us once again for our last song. This song is called When the Boat Comes In. It's a Northumbrian folk song that talks about the circle of life. We hear about a young boy being born, and then we hear about him becoming a young man, getting married, and then we finally hear about him becoming old and passing on the wisdom that he has gained. And I just thought, what a beautiful way to end our concert here at this classical school, because isn't that what we're all about, is gaining the wisdom that those before us have learned so that we can walk with more sure footing. So this is When the Boat Comes In with Kenneth Sawyer on flute, and we also have 2 soloists as well. for being here at our concert and for listening to these beautiful songs. Every single one of our choirs this evening was singing in two-part. That means that when they sing in two parts, they have to listen for their own part. It's so difficult to do. Some of them singing in harmony, some of them singing in call and response, others singing in an antiphonal style. Regardless of their grade level, everyone took on the challenge of singing not only a song that was enjoyable, but a song that was challenging and made them into better musicians. So thank you once again for coming to our concert and for supporting their musical endeavors.
None of this could be possible without the great help. First of all, with behind the scenes, I want to recognize Hector LeBron and Frankie LeBron in the back. Some of you may not know this, but all of our morning time and our live streams happen because Frankie and fifth grader Jack Thurwalker run the whole thing, so it's completely student run. Also want to recognize Kelly Hansen for her help. Way to go, Kenneth. Kenneth is a sophomore. Kenneth is a sophomore here at Annapolis. Also want to recognize Ms. Domajo for the recorders for third grade. And the wonderful work of our awesome music teacher, Ms. Runyon. Like I said, the concert's not quite over, and I have one more person to recognize. Like I mentioned, tonight is a bittersweet concert because we will be not saying goodbye to Mrs. Johnson, but having a big thank you for her. We've been blessed with some wonderful people that God has brought to the school to take over our art program. Mrs. Johnson laid a wonderful foundation, and we're not looking to change it, so they are moving ahead. I want to recognize Paige Caretti. I think she's here. Stand up, there she is. So Paige will be taking on our grammar art program. Stacia Johnson, who was an alumni class of 2015, will be aiding her in the grammar. If you want to know anything about Stacia, just walk down the hall and look across the frame picture is one of Stacia's extraordinary work. She's a very gifted artist, and we're happy to have an alumni back on campus. And then John Pizarek will be also doing our solar art. He is a fantastic art instructor and artist himself. He has a master's in fine arts, and so we had to replace Mrs. Johnson with 2 teachers for all that she's done for us. I'd like to ask Mrs. Johnson to come up and again, it's hard to put into words the gratitude that we have for her and the work that she's done, and Mrs. Levitt is here as well. Just the 2 of them have been the dynamic duo for many, many years. The thing that's always amazed me about walking into the art studio is, like any good artist, they take something that's just kind of raw and kind of maybe unsightly and turn it into something extraordinary. As our students thinking about being classically trained artists, just like that's such a high bar, but year after year, student after student, she sees an artist in all of them and brings that out and just allows them to explore and to create in beautiful ways. And that just shows such an extraordinary teacher that she is. So we will miss her dearly, and thank you so much for all that you've done for us.
I don't want to take up very much of your time. I already started crying on that last song. So, those children are just so beautiful. What a gift. Just very quickly, I just want to take a minute to talk about what this school has meant to me and to offer my most sincere, I need to do this with my glasses on, with my most sincere gratitude for the love and support that you all have shown me over the past 12 years. It has been my greatest honor to teach your children, and I will treasure the deep and meaningful relationships that I have developed with all of you. Much to my own surprise, it was unexpected. My husband and I felt God calling us to embark on a new adventure, and we're going to be moving to Lexington, Kentucky in July. Very different from here. So in that transition, I just ask that you would pray for us, and as we settle in and figure out what God's calling us to there, I would really appreciate that. But Annapolis has been such a blessing to me, to my coworker, Lori. The faculty and staff here have been wonderful, professional people. They've really aided me in my own walk on both professional and personal level. But in particular, I just want to recognize this lady here who stood by me 11 of the 12 years in the art studio. She was like having a second set of eyes, ears, hands, and boy, do you need those in the art studio. She and I were a wonderful team. Literally, there's not one piece of artwork that could have been done without her aid and her assistance in the room. So we wouldn't have an art program without her there as well. You want to go ahead? I also just wanted to recognize Angie Hansen, who stepped into Lori's shoes when Lori had to go on take care of her grandson mid-year. So Mrs. Angie Hansen stepped in and kind of aided. She just jumped right in there and figured it out. Way to go, Angie. Most important, I want to just thank you parents, though. You've been so generous with your time, your talents, your pocketbooks, more in art supplies, but your love offerings have just been so tremendous to me, blessings beyond belief, and I just want to thank you so much for that. But most of all, I am going to miss my students. You have wonderful children. I have a unique job. I see students coming in from kindergarten, and I walk with them all the way up through 12th grade. And I've developed such sweet relationships with them. Like I described before, some of the silly talks that we have about historical art, you know, the weird faces and the Byzantine art and you know, the deep theological truths that are communicated through these art pieces and the lives of these artists that I've talked with you about before over the years. And then just the everyday stuff. So my time with those little kindergartners all the way up through, the hugs, the smiles, the waves, Mrs. Johnson across the playground, those are the things that I cherish more than anything else. Those are the things that I will carry with me for many years to come as I pray for your young people. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for the time that I've had here and the blessing that this school and this community has been to me and to my family. I am super excited. I'm passing the torch to some really wonderful new art teachers who are going to carry on the vision of this school. I'm excited for you all to experience some of their new ideas in addition to the old ideas, which are never bad. So old isn't bad. Anyway, thank you very much for all of your love and support for me and for the vision and mission of Annapolis Christian Academy's Fine Arts Department. Thank you very much.
It's a tough act to follow. So we'll end the evening here in the sanctuary. Like I said, the evening's not over yet. Please enjoy walking down the hallway. You'll go through the double doors into the grammar building, through the hallway, and in the cafe there are all the different art pieces there. So please take your time, enjoy the art, enjoy the fellowship, and once again, thank you for being a part of the Evening of the Arts. Thank you.